Good morning. This is John, host of MGTOW is Freedom. It's a nice, quiet morning, and I'm having a cup of coffee. I want to welcome all of you, and I want to thank you for subscribing, for watching, and for commenting. I like to think that what I do is offer more opinion on a subject. And like the artist, more color, more paint that is applied to the canvas, the clearer the picture can become. So that's why all of our voices matter in this, especially since we're all in the same fight together. We're all battling the social agenda called feminism. And I woke up this morning and I was thinking about feminism and how it teaches women, how it lies to them and says that they're the equals of men. And I thought, well, that's an interesting statement because there are no real facts to back it up, other than some obvious things like we have 10 fingers and 10 toes. But on more important matters, they don't. So feminism is taught that women are the equal of men. But in reality, the equality seems to stop with regard to just owning property. Feminism is not taught responsibility to women. If anything, it's kept women from becoming responsible. It's kept the feminists from being held accountable. So it's allowed them to run loose with the propaganda that women are the equal of men. And all the while, feminism and its adherents, that is, everyone who is a feminist, have battled, have fought for special rights, special privileges, additional rights. And on top of that, they fight to not be held responsible. An example of that would be the position that women can have sex with men, change their minds after the fact, and then have that man prosecuted for rape. At the very least, it'll result in his name being tarnished. A police investigation ensued and his reputation, possibly forever being ruined. But what's worse than that is if it sticks. If her lie is allowed to stand and he's charged, and then what if he's convicted? What is that taught the woman? It's taught that feminist that she doesn't have to be responsible for her own actions. Right? She said, yes, let's have sex. And then she changed her mind for whatever reason. She had regret, guilt, doubt, shame. Maybe she felt like she didn't get enough out of the guy. Maybe she felt slighted by him. Maybe it was a game that she was playing to get revenge on him for another girl. Women aren't held responsible. Well, I got to take that back. I think unicorns are probably held responsible by their men. Because I'm going to go this far. In order to hold someone responsible, you have to hold them responsible, and that means consequences. I think that men are responsible for feminism getting out of control, just as much as the feminists are responsible for pushing for all of the special privileges they get. Because of this one subject, this one topic called the ultimatum. I have faced ultimatums throughout my entire life. You will do this, or this is going to happen. It's a consequence. It's a consequence of being a man. It's a consequence of doing business. It's a consequence, and it's a severe consequence. It's a yes or no type consequence. And ultimatums typically carry a very negative connotation that goes with them. There's a negative thought or vibe that goes with the ultimatum. as if the person giving the ultimatum is bad, as if they're so extreme that they shouldn't be tolerated. But we're given ultimatums all the time. The red lights come on, you will pull over or you will be run off the road and then summarily beaten by a cop. And then summarily beaten by all of his partners. That's a form of ultimatum. You will pay your taxes, or the government will show up and take all of your stuff. That is an ultimatum. You will do this, you will do that, or else, or else, or else. And there is no discretion. It is just demand, consequence, demand, consequence. As a result, as human beings, men are conditioned to respond to ultimatums. Do you want the pain or do you don't want the pain? Women are not held responsible. And feminism is seen to it that women get special privileges so that consequences are not enforced on them, so that they can get away with it, so that they can continue to act like children while demanding all the fruits of what it means to be a productive human being. How many times have you heard the expression, I slept on the couch, right? I'm in the doghouse with the old lady, with the little woman. Why are you in the doghouse? Well, you chose to do something, and the ultimatum was, well, then you're just not getting what you want, right? You're not going to sleep in your own bed. The woman is putting forward, the feminist is out there. They're putting themselves forward as the authority figure, and we're accepting it. We're accepting them claiming something for which they really don't want the responsibility for. So they put out the ultimatum, you're on the couch. They put out the demand, and we start playing by the conditioned response. We're responding to the ultimatum. Well, you better do as they say or else you lose. It's a very simple premise that they're in charge because they have something that we want, whether it's dinner, their mere presence, sex, whatever it is the woman is offering you or has the appearance of being offered can be taken back. I don't think that feminists like an equal relationship. They want to be the ones in charge. So they put out the ultimatums. They hold men responsible, but then they don't hold themselves responsible. It's quite a confusing dance if you sit down and examine it. And I think that confusion is left in place to keep men off balance. Because you get home from work, you're tired, you're exhausted, you sit on the couch, you're given an ultimatum. Get off that couch, we need to do this, we're going to that. And you are driven. And if you don't do this, I'll. And men need to quit giving into that ultimatum. It is simple. I have so much peace in my life now that I'm not dealing with the daily ultimatum. And I'm not being held responsible to the whims of someone else. So when you look at men going their own way, I haven't left women. I've left feminism. Let me repeat that again. I've chosen to go my own way with regard to feminism and its edicts and the way it works. I choose not to play by its rules. It's not women I've left, but the concept of feminine. I've left it behind. I've gone my own way. That doesn't mean I don't see it out in front of me. Of course I see it out in front of me. It surrounds me daily. But men, if you want to have a woman, and I've talked about this is a battleground thing. If we don't have women as men, not all of us, some of us, the species dies. So how do we take it back? Right? How do we take control of our lives back? One, you have to take responsibility for it. And if you want to ghost them or just use women, that's your business. But in every case, you're taking responsibility for yourself, and you're holding the woman responsible for herself as a MGTOW man, right? You give them an ultimatum. And they don't even have to know about it. You're like, well, I'm going to have sex with you, woman, until you get out of line, and then I'm going to dump you. That's an ultimatum, and it's not really fair to the woman in a sense that she doesn't know that that's the rules. But that's precisely what women do to men. Feminists in particular. They have a set of rules that they're playing by, and we don't know about it. They're holding us responsible for a set of rules that we haven't been told or agreed to. But men, you need to start giving the women in your world, the feminists in your world, ultimatums. Ultimatums. You can tell them or you don't need to tell them. But we need to get feminism on its heels and backing up. You need to hold yourself responsible. When you have an ultimatum and you've thrown it out there, you need to stand behind it and stop letting feminist women act like children. They already have equal rights to your property if you marry them. They want all of the privileges and all of the rights, and they don't want to be held responsible. When we start holding them responsible and punishing them accordingly, punish them with real punishment, then they have to behave. Or you have gone your own way. There's going to come a point, and it's happening, where women don't like being ignored. And that's a big part of MGTOW, is denying women the attention they want. You need to have a set of rules that you're willing to live by, men. If you do it in your personal life or your professional life, why aren't you doing it in your personal life? You have the power to make the demand of the woman. The feminist out there, right? The real woman, whatever you want to call them, you can make demands of them. And the moment they fall, you get rid of them. Everything has to be a termination offense. Period. Women do it to you. Why are you so afraid to do it to women? This whole there's a bunch of fishes in the sea attitude is exactly what's given them the power they have. Because men acquiesce. Men, you need to be responsible. You're actually the responsible party. You have more power and control over your own intellect. You have better mental faculties than women. Period. Women have the power of the pussy. I contend that they have the responsibility for keeping the pussy. Men, you have the power. Take it back. Take it back. The moment she fucks up, you tell her, you're out of here. Now, the child. In this case, the child woman, feminist, because that's what she's doing. She's exercising feminist qualities by beginning to act like a child. She will beg, she will plead, she'll throw a fit, she'll stomp her feet, she'll try and use guilt and shame to get you to let her off the hook. She's going to claim she made a mistake. You need to put the ultimatum out there, that is, have the rules understood with a clear set of consequences. And then you have to enforce those consequences. You have to enforce them harshly. And you can ask the woman, you can put her in her place. Is that what you really want? You should say to her, right? If that's what you want, get the fuck out and throw them out. Oh, no. Well, if you want to stay with me, you'll play by my rules. You need to take that simple control back at that simple level and then be responsible with it. Because good women have been ruined by feminism because men are not being responsible. You need to have a set of rules and have your ultimatums in place. Then you have to be willing to stand by it. It's so simple. if beta males, if just regular guys who aren't all that strong did that, they would be treated with more respect by women, and maybe satisfactory levels of respect. But if you don't respect yourself and then you allow women to walk all over you, they will continue to do so, and then they will hold the power. You've got to take the power back from them. And it's hard to do once a relationship is established. I understand that. I was married for a long time. I've spent the entire marriage, in fact, fighting to get that responsibility, to get that power back from her. And it was a struggle back and forth, and it eventually failed. But what I found was that when I started throwing down ultimatums, that is, I am in charge, I am the man, these are the responsibilities, these are the consequences, and I made them known, she monkey branched off. She had already been doing it, and you find these things out. I had a very bad wife. You need to find these things out now, in the beginning of any relationship, whether it's personal or even professional. If the people around you are willing to work with you and willing to accept your responsibility, your authority. So let's just keep it on the personal level, because work, or the professional level, is much more complicated, but it's just as easily controlled if you are in charge. But let's go back to personal. In your life, you need to have a set of strict rules that you run by. If you're going to be a man going your own way. If you're going to be MGTOW, you've got to have strict rules that you play by, or you're going to be overrun and controlled by a feminist. You've got to be willing to accept responsibility for yourself and the relationship and whatever activities you have with women. You have to accept responsibility for that. You can never say it's her fault. Because when you do that, you're saying you're no longer responsible. Now, when you accept that responsibility, you might say, oh, that sounds like work. Well, women, feminists, everything is work. Everything takes effort. To believe that it doesn't take effort is to be irresponsible. And men being irresponsible is one of those traits that feminism has tried fostering in us so that they can take advantage of us. You have to give up that notion, become responsible. When you enter into a relationship with a feminist, with a woman, it is an agreement. And I call them feminists because all women now are indoctrinated. All women, 100% are indoctrinated the same way 100% men are indoctrinated. If you're going to win, if you're going to have a relationship with a woman, you have got to beat that out of her. And I don't mean physically, psychologically. Take responsibility for yourself. Then take responsibility for the relationship. If you want a shitty relationship, then you're going to get it if you don't take responsibility. If you want a good relationship, then you have to accept responsibility. This is the essence of being a man. And it is the complete opposite of what feminism is. When you take responsibility and hold that woman accountable to your rules, not hers, you take control of that relationship. The moment she fucks up, the rules, whatever they are, they have to be gone. The feminist is thrown out on her ass. You have to be real and you have to be consistent. Owning a woman is like owning a dog. I can't wait till that is taken out of context. In both cases, I said owning. And I'll get back to that. Owning a woman is like a dog. A dog is good. A dog's going to make mistakes. A dog needs to be trained. It needs to be trained to perform to the standards that you and the dog agree upon. You can't expect a dog to do what a cat does. That's not right. So you treat the dog like a dog and you train it accordingly and it's rewarded and punished, etc. But if you think that the dog is going to be autonomous and you're going to be autonomous and you're both going to live together symbiotically, it's impossible. It's an impossibility. You have to accept ownership over that dog. You have to accept the responsibility for that dog. It's about being a man. Now, if you say, well, that's just not right, well, let's look at what happens when the dog gets in trouble. The dog goes off and bites someone. You have to pay for it. When your feminist girlfriend or your woman runs loose and runs up a bunch of debt on your credit card, who's responsible for it? You are. You own the responsibility, therefore you own that person. And I don't mean as a slave, I mean you own the responsibility. They're a free agent, you own the responsibility. They're a free agent. If they choose not to obey the rules, you cut them loose the same way a baseball team cuts loose a free agent player when they don't perform. You've got to be willing to take them in for whatever pleasures and desires you have. And they're coming to you for the same reasons, so don't feel guilty about it. And the moment they choose to be irresponsible and not be held accountable, because that's what disobeying means, they're trying to not be held accountable, then you need to get rid of them. Or serve out whatever punishment has been prescribed. Because let's look at it. When someone chooses to disobey a rule in a relationship, they are trying to not be held accountable. They're being sneaky. That's fine. They're seeing what they can get away with. They're going to push the envelope a little. Are you going to let them get away with it? The moment you get away with it, they'll do it again and again and more and try it in more and unique and different ways. They may even try, which they've done, feminists, to take control of the relationship. Women love to have rules and responsibility and consequences and ultimatums for men, while excusing themselves from all other responsibility except that of controlling you. You need, gentlemen, to take the power back. I'm going to end on this. You need to take the power back in your life. You need to take full responsibility for 100% of your actions, because the government and everyone else does. Your employer certainly holds you 100% responsible. You need to lay down the law in any relationship you have. And you are going to be judge, jury, and executioner or administrator of that law. You need to have firm rules, ultimatums in place. And you need to be firm. You need to have some backbone. You need to uphold that law and send them packing when they fuck up. Because when enough men do that to feminists out there, they will straighten up or they will die on the vine. And that's what a lot of them are doing, right? They've hit the wall. They've gone past the wall. No man wants them because they are damaged goods. Those women are damaged goods, and no one wants them because they refuse to do as they're told. They refuse to be held accountable. They've demonstrated time and time again, these terrible, hideous feminists, that they are unworthy of our attention and our love. There's so many topics on MGTOW I want to discuss, and try and do so in a polite and calm fashion. But responsibility and ultimatums, major and minor ultimatums, they need to be taken control of by men. You need to stop caring about them to the extent that you're willing to destroy yourself. That is a lack of self-respect on your part. You need to be responsible for yourself. You need to have firm rules, and then you need to execute them and get on with your life. Or you're going to forever chase them. And women, especially feminist women, and that's 95% plus. Feminist women are a moving target that we can't hit. The moment you're trying to make them happy in one way, they make you try and make them happy in another. They keep you off balance. They confuse you. They get you mad. They get you sad. They give you some sex. They completely mind fuck you to the point where you're chasing them instead of them chasing you. Women have fooled men into thinking they're the catch. They're not. We are the catch. We, men, are the catch. We are the power. We need to take it back. Women are the prize. And if you want that prize, you need to be responsible for it and own it properly. That is, accept the responsibility and the burden of controlling it. Women have more, it's just a quick aside, women have more incentive to catch and control us if they can. Because not only do they get the human being, but they get all of the resources that come with it. They control us, and then they direct us in the direction they want, and we go like a robot off and make them all their money, make them their resources so that they can steal it and then run. Men, when you get a woman, you want to control her for what? Get me a sandwich, let's have some sex. Let's go out and have some fun. But we're not looking at them as a resource. We're looking at them as someone to give us pleasure. It is a completely different understanding between the two, and we need to understand that we're the responsible agent. We're the boss, they are the prize. And there's a lot of prizes out there. On this planet, there are 8 billion titties. And there are only 4 billion penises. I know we can play with those numbers, but that's a fun one I like to think of. There's plenty of women out there. Whoever is in my life will play by my rules, or there is the door. And you don't have to be rude about it or mean about it. You just have a set of rules. You're very firm. There's an ultimatum in place. There's consequences for bad action. And then you do your job as a man and take responsibility and live it out. So what do you guys think of that? And I don't want to hear from all the MGTOW guys, well, you have to give up on women, period. And then I hear men talking about how they want to go out and have sex. Well, then you haven't given them up. Unless you're a fucking monk, you haven't given them up. And if you're not going to get them out of your life, 100%, which is fucking impossible, then you have to learn to deal with them. And the way I just described, responsibility, ownership for yourself, self-respect, ultimatums, and then being firm and standing up for yourself, going through with the action, punishing them, whatever that punishment is. If you can do that in your personal life and your professional life, you will start to bring women under your control. And they know it and they smell it and they sense it and they want to be controlled, and then they want you, and then the game starts where they try and control you. There's a lot more discussion on that. Once you get the woman and she starts trying to control you secretly and playing games with you, you have to be willing to get rid of them if that's how they want to be. All right. I hope this rant made some sense and gives you something to think about. And I hope that you have comments that you're willing to share. I want to thank you for subscribing, and I look forward to doing this again with you real soon. This is John, host of MGTOW is Freedom. Free your mind. Have a great day.